kia ora no tātou, ngā mihi ana ki te koutou katoa. Ka mihi e hui mai nei no te kupopo tēnei rā, no reira tēnā koutou. O ka tūpuna no Kotarania, te waki ahau I Rotorua, engari e nāi nei tuku ahi ka ki tirangi. No reira ko kaimanawa, o ku maunga, ko tongarero, tuku awa, ko taupunui a te moana. Kei te mahi ahau, he kai tautoko te taiao, ko Cam Speedy tako ingoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. So, just welcome everybody, just to acknowledge you all and the kaupapa that we're all here to share today that we've gathered for. I'm 6 generations from Scotland, but I grew up in Rotorua, and for the last 35 years my home fires have burnt in Tirangi in the Central North Island, which is the centre of my universe, and it's from where I launched myself to do all the mahi that not too glorified a little bit, but hey. I'm here to talk to you today about why animal behaviour is so important to the mahi we all do in the bush with the predator management, because it's the behaviour of those predators that drive what they do, and it has to drive what we do, or we're not going to win. So, yeah, hopefully there's a few insights. Some of you have seen my work before, or see some things you've seen before, but hopefully the nuances of this presentation are slightly different. So we'll crack on. There's a whole lot of tools in the predator toolkit in New Zealand. We're innovative, number 8 wire sort of culture that have developed solutions for problems in our history. All of these tools on here, and this is just a snapshot of a few of them, they can all work and they can all fail. They all have advantages, limitations and consequences. It's up to us as operators to work out how and why they're going to work. But there's no silver bullets, and never believe the hype about set and forget and all that sort of stuff. There's no such thing as a silver bullet. And the reality is that overused tools get blunt, as any good carpenter will tell you. And it's no different for all of these tools that we use in the bush for our mahi. But actually the most powerful tool is us and our knowledge of the predators that we're trying to manage. That is by far and away the most important tool in our toolkit. We have to understand how these critters use place, and it's different in the Kaimanawas to it is at Forest Bridge, to what it's like in Fiordland. These animals adapt to place, and understanding animals at place is the secret. What are their home ranges? What are they feeding on? When are they feeding on it? What are their breeding rates in that environment? How far do they disperse? When do they disperse? What distances are they dispersing? It's different for all of these critters, and it's different for each of these critters all over the motu. And it's up to us as connected trippers to understand our place, our environment, and how these things operate in our patch. And that's the secret to being a ninja predator trapper. Don't be a trap checker. Get a black belt in ninja predator hunting. What drives these critters? I use a thing called the 4 Fs. The 4 Fs drive all animal behaviour. Food, family, fear, and relating to all of those 3, fighting. All animal behaviour can be related back to the 4 Fs. Their behaviours. Most scientists classify our pest behaviours as a sort of yin and yang dynamic between caution and inquisitive. Cautious, inquisitive. The caution is in their favour. That's what keeps them safe. The inquisitive is in our favour. That's what makes us successful. So a lot of this talk is about how we drive caution down and how we drive inquisitive up, because that's how we're going to win what I call the behavioural battle. Tools get blunt because of learned avoidance from poor use of tools. A toe, a possum toe in a leg hold trap, that possum won't go near victim number 1 leg hold again, or a blaze of flower, and if it's a doe, it will teach you Joey to avoid that as well. Learned avoidance. The dominance avoidance thing, males over females, old over young, and species over other species. what you'll find is that different animals dominate over different other animals. Like classic is rats and mice. If you've got mice in your shed, you haven't got rats. As soon as you get rats, you won't have mice. And we see that in our forests when we do rat suppression. We drive the rat numbers down, the mice population pops up. And as the rat numbers come back up, the mice population goes down. And so we've got this thing going on, dominance, subordinates. Wallabies and possums, you don't have wallabies up here, thank goodness, and hope you never do. They're just little vacuum cleaners of biodiversity. But yeah, wallabies are very subordinate creatures that won't operate around devices that have got possums or even rats at them. So these are really important behavioural things that we have to understand. If we're to win the behavioural battle in pest management, we've got to teach animals to do what we want them to do. And the best way to do that is either with food rewards or social cues. I just want to show you this brief video. This is of a couple of possums, a doe and her advanced mature backrider, and they've been taught to come to this rank and eat smooth blue and blaze. And this is what we want these animals to do. We want them to lower their caution and increase their inquisitive. And we're doing this here with food rewards. If we could hear the sound in the background, you'll be able to hear it. Because there's a whole lot of them hanging around there because of the food rewards and the social cues that this spot is generating. That trap's not operating, it's shut down. We're just trying to set up the communication channels, get everybody on the same page, get everybody to the party. If you kill an animal every time it comes to your device, it doesn't go away and bring its mates back. Hey, this is the basis for possum nightclubs. That device there is an Environment 100 automatic feeder. It can feed 200 grams of very palatable food every day for 7 days on an automated timer. Or you can set it to feed every second day for 14 days or every third day for 21 days. There's 6 speed Allen kill traps in this carnaby grove in this pine forest. And this environment's been set up feeding non-toxic pre-feed for 2 weeks every second night. Those traps have been shut while that's happening. The pad runs that have opened up to this patch of carnaby and this pine tree are like state highway one. It's like the Poo Boy motorway, man. Shiny as pad runs, and they're covered in the scent of this pre-feed and this food cues and the social cues leading to that place brings everybody to the party. And then you open your traps, party is over. Possum nightclubs. Food and sex drives all of us. Oops. Sorry. I want to show you a little video now of device interactions, or what happens if you don't encourage and pre-feed and lower the caution and increase the inquisitive. This video is of in an area where there's been a lot of possum control. There's a kill trap there, an A12, and then there is a very older style AT220 up there. And these have been set up, and there's been a thermal camera placed on this to view who turns up and why that's not catching. If you just were a checker and you looked at this every couple of months, you go, oh, we've got them all, there's nothing here. But wait, there's more. Oh. That's right, just ignore that little possum video down the bottom, I'm not sure what's happening there. Hopefully that'll play. This is from Grant Ryan at Cacophony. If you're not on the Cacophony blog, Google it and get on it, it's amazing. Just go through those stats again. Well, 3 months, 2 kill traps, 62 visits, no kills. It's a classic E&R, bro. I'm not going in there. I've seen them with my mates. We caught all the dumb ones, caught all the young ones. Who's left? The cautious ones. The tools got blunt. We've got to change it up. We've got to lower the caution and increase the inquisitiveness. And it's the same for all of our pests. This is A24 in the Claypool River in the Kaimanawas, put in there to protect fear on the Claypool River. This particular A24 was baited with mutton fat and lured with blaze and pre-feed about a week before this. And we put up this camera on here just to see who turns up and what they do. This is really, really common on our trail camera image in the Kaimanawas. And you see trails there, plenty of interest, lots of caution. Exit, stage right, no kill. That happens on so many of our trail camera images, on so many of our traps, it's ridiculous. Despite all the pre-feeding. Here's a cat, freshly baited, live cage trap, modified Tim's trap, and just there is a leak hole trap buried in the road. And the old mate turns up. Just note the date and time, 9th of August, 20 to 7 on a freezing cold night. The cold steel, the cat felt the cold steel of that trap. There it is there, buried in the road. Just touched the cold steel, leapt up. This is a cat we've known well, we've been trying to catch it for a while. It's feeding on possums at the bottom of the AT220. It's looking at rats inside Dock 200s. It won't go in a cage trap. This is what we're up against all the time with all of our critters. Caution high, inquisitive low. Same cat a week later, rabbit tied to the ground there, leak hole trap there, leak hole trap there. This is a leak hole trap buried in the ground, hazed up. If there's one statistic you take away from today, this is the one that you should take home. 80% of encounters with a device don't result in any interaction with that device whatsoever. They turn up and go, yeah, no, and walk away. 80%, 4 out of 5. There's no point having a kit out there that predators ignore, and the more you let them get used to it, catch the young ones and the dumb ones and leave the cautious ones, the more they'll breed and the more they'll adapt to you and you'll lose the behavioural battle. So we've got to change the psychology in that brain, that inquisitive, cautious brain. This is what he sees when he turns up, and what goes on in his head first is, yeah, nah, danger, do not enter. So we've got to flip that on his head and reframe it into, welcome, all free giveaways inside. He's got to have your free giveaway in his letterbox. He's got to have your discount voucher in his back pocket, and he's got to have a 5-star endorsement from friends and family on TripAdvisor on his phone at the door. And he's going to be straight in there, right? This is about managing pest behaviour. You've got to set every trap, every time, like your life depends on it. You're not trap checkers. You're working towards a black belt and being ninja predator hunters. You've got to freshen the traps like every time, and this is exactly the sort of stuff that Frank's talking about on Mikey Island. It's a trap to fall into, just to look at it and go, nothing, we must be on top of them. Put a trail camera on and we'll find out how we're not on top of them. Scuff the ground, as simple as scuffing the ground. Every possum trapper will set a leak hole trap, will scuff the ground away from the trap, throw a blaze of flower in there, put a blaze of flower up the tree, throw a few blazes of flower to stick to wet vegetation, so that trap site shouts in that landscape. It doesn't or worse, sit there silent, with a sphere of influence of about 3 centimetres, your trap site should have a sphere of influence of tens of metres. So everything that comes even remotely close to your device is going, oh, Cam's been here, I'm into that, let's go and have a look. Rewards, food rewards, social cues. Use pre-feeding and luring livery. Bullets are cheap. Hey, first thing I learned when I started shooting out of helicopters was, don't snipe them, just get into them, boy. Bullets are cheap. Hey, use your blaze, use your pre-feed, change their behaviour, train them to do what you want them to do. Fence and haze, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So guide them to your traps using pungas or logs or just the way you set your trap line up. Make sure the trap's clean and functions. Nothing worse than having an animal stand on a kill plate and it doesn't go off because you haven't done your basic maintenance. I did a trap audit in Fiordland last year, and one of the traps was in an ephemeral stream, and there'd been so much water coming down this ephemeral stream, as it does in Fiordland, it had washed so much sediment under the plate of the Dock 200 that you couldn't push the plate down. And so a female stoat could have gone through there, got the bait, left, and then dropped a belly full of 7 or 8 babies to kill Theo and Kiwi and Wicker and Kia and all the rest of them. You know? Change your baits regularly, and I'll talk a little bit more about seasonality in a little while. We've got to make every trap site exciting. It's got to shout in the landscape. It can't whisper, or worse, just sit there silently. 20% of traps catch 80% of predators. You all know this. You've got trap B23. Every time you go there, it's got one. But Z17, you've been checking it for 3 years and it's never caught anything. This is why data is so important. You need to scrutinise your data really, really closely to make sure that if you've run a trap for a season in a location and it's caught nothing, put a trail camera on it to check that there's not something wrong with the way it's orientated, and if there's just nothing using that spot, shift it somewhere else, because there's nothing worse than wasted kits and doing nothing. Use quality gear, don't use plastic, fantastic, cheap stuff. Monitor and critique, move traps that don't catch, and understand that predators are really efficient. They're not lazy, they're just deadly efficient at how they use landscapes. They know what's going on. Trap locations are all about linear features. Landscape features like roads, tracks, game trails, rivers, ridges, tree rows, hedgerows, fence lines, culverts. Those are the things in your landscape that you should focus your trap placements on. Not cold, wet gullies and stuff. Just shifting a trap sometimes 5 metres out of a cold, wet gully up onto a drier, sunny terrace will make all the difference to your capture, especially if you make that trap site shout with pre-feed and luring. Avoid the cold, wet ones. Hay barns are great. Unfortunately, traditional hay bales aren't so common anymore, but they make wonderful denning sites for cats and ferrets. There's food supply and rodents, and it's dry and warm. So hay barns are fantastic places to target ferrets and cats. I'm glad Frank showed a heat map, because I'm a real big fan of heat maps, because if we rely on office-generated grids to get coverage, we're going to spend a lot of money, and a lot of that money isn't going to catch. The analogy I use is if we had a really cool human suppression tool in New Zealand, and we wanted to suppress humans, we wouldn't lay a grid over Aotearoa. We'd put it in Auckland and Wellington and on State Highway 1. If we had a whole lot in the middle of Fiordland, all we'd do was catch some smelly hunters in the Roar and April. If we had one on the top of Aoraki, we'd catch a climber about once a decade, but not to justify climbing up there once a week to check it. Hey. This is a real classic, a 500 hectare project area in the Bay of Plenty, which is gridded out to the max with traps and bait stations. And the bait take is only at those locations. That tells you all about your location. You need to connect to your location, your environment, your forest type, the critters you're targeting and how they use your place. It's not the same in the Bay of Plenty to Forest Bridge or Northland or Kaimanawas or Fiordland. It's different at every single place. So you have to connect to your whenua and become embedded in your whenua. That's how it works. just show you this really cool video and I'll explain how this was set up and why. This is another cacophony experiment that Grant Ryan did. Amazing guy. He's put out 3 devices, a chew card covered in peanut butter, a traditional trail camera and a thermal imaging camera. And what he wanted to show was what's the best way to index pest activity in this pine forest? Which device gives me the best index of pest activity? And it's a fair question because these are thousands of dollars, these are 40 cents, and these are a few $100. So the implications from management of the different costs of those devices. So he's got to find out what tells him the best. But actually it told him something way better, in my view, for me anyway, as a trapper and a ecologist. So the chew card is about there. And he's picking them up on his thermal imaging, rats, possums, hedgehogs, just rolling on past. Nothing really much happening. All those sites are just whispering where they were. There's no pre-feed or there's no luring. Suddenly a rat finds a chew card and has a big feed of peanut butter. Yum. Thanks, Grant. Appreciate that. Straight back, straight back, straight back. Probably more than one rat going back and forth. And then Posse turns up and goes, hey, yum, ratties. Let's not this one here. I'll have a piece of that. Possum goes straight to the chew card on the scent trail that the rats left, the peanut butter rat trail. Then old Hedgie comes along. Mrs. Peekwinkle likes it too. Straight on to the scent trail that the rats left with peanut butter and then the possum. If you're not logged into the Cacophony website in their blog, get on it because there's such cool stuff on there. This is another classic. This is a conservation legend in Turangi named Shirley Potter. She runs so many trap lines. And she said to me a couple of summers ago that the stoat catch on Mount Piona had just died, and I had just caught a big fresh male stoat at home. I said, tie this to a string on your belt and drag it through the forest on your trap line. And she thought I was yanking her chain, so she...
The latest stoat catcher drag the stoat.
Just taking the piss. If you know Shirley, you'll know exactly that's what she's doing. So there were 42 Dot 200s on that line, and she hadn't caught a stoat all summer. And the next Saturday she went and she had 4 stoats on that line. This is just a classic old Scottish gamekeeper approach to catch a stoat, drag it down your line, rub it on every box. What works even better if you gut a rabbit and put the rabbit guts, mush the spleen up, open the paunch, mush up the liver, put that in an onion bag and tie that to the string as well. And the scent trail that sets up is a stoat chasing a wounded prey hunter. And there's nothing more exciting to another stoat to think one of his mates has got a rabbit and you want a piece of it too. And if it's a hot chip, then it might be all wrong. So I'm interested to know that Frank's rabbit supplier guts his rabbits. We don't. We freeze our rabbits whole. We just lock the legs, the claws off with an axe, and once they're frozen into logs whole with the guts in them, we just cut them into cubes because rabbit guts is really, really attractive to stoats. So it's all about increasing interaction rates. This is another crazy scenario that highlighted something really cool about AT220s. This is a later version, version 3, but had a problem with one of the components that we had to get it replaced. And that sat there for 2 weeks not functioning. It was turned off. It had caught a few possums, but it had dropped right away. And we couldn't figure out whether it was this component failure or the fact that there was no possums left. So that is a running board of rough sawn timber covered in smooth blue blaze going up to a bait station full of RS5 pre-feed pellets leading up to an AT220 kill trap. The new part came, we put it back, got the trap functioning. First 3 nights that caught 22 possums. The pad runs that opened up to this side were a blue and white Puhoi motorway. As unreal. And so this is again this endorsements from friends and family, communication channels. If you've stopped catching, shut your trap down for a couple of weeks, pre-feed it, and then open it back up again and see what happens. You've got to win their confidence. You've got to drive the caution down and drive the inquisitive up. I have this one third strategy that I use for baiting all of my traps, and it's about this making the trap site shout in the landscape. A third of the bait in the trap, a third of the bait around the trap site, and a third of the bait in the landscape before you even get to the trap. So that they are looking for you. You don't have to worry about gloves or human scent. They're looking for you. They want to find you because you train them to do what you want them to do. Stick their head in there and die. You can't do that overnight, but it's about doing stuff smarter, not harder. You've got to make it easy. You know, the flipping tone is a really good trick, but you've got to be Sir Possum Hillary to get into that one. It's in a kiwi forest, so it's way up 700 off the ground, and you often catch them by the arm, or they're triggered and they've got away because they've gone on top or they've gone on the side. Putting a running board delivers them right in the right spot to the lethal kill position of the device. It's safe for non-targets, it's lured up and pre-fed, and it puts and delivers the animal easily right in the kill zone. Making it easy. How many of you have seen traps like this sitting out in the forest? I don't know, at home in Lake Taupo, there's lots of community groups and they're trying really hard. But, you know, they're retired accountants and successful business owners who have retired to the lake to go fishing and boating and helping with predator free. But they're trap checkers and they don't understand ecology or animals. What's worse is inside this trap was a golf ball. So this is what I mean about traps that don't even whisper in the landscape. It's just sitting there silently rotting. All of the investment of the materials and the cost of putting it out there is wasted. I don't know about you, I've never seen a stoat tying a golf cart. And you actually need a weed whacker in his golf cart to even get into that trap to hit the golf ball. Honestly, 5 minutes to turn that into that. Stuff the ground, fresh bait, luring, pre-feeding, making it shout. It's now not wasted kit sitting rotting in our forest. Making it easy. This is one of my single set docks. It's got a ramp to deliver the animal right onto the kill plate. I've tried to file down the sprags. I've folded them at the bottom. This is chew marks on the mutton fat that's rubbed there. There's flecks of mutton fat all through here. But the thing about these sprags is that if an animal pricks itself, it'll get a fright and it'll never come back. It'll associate a very unpleasant experience with visiting you, your scent as a trapper, all the baits you've used. You've got to understand that. I mean, this is a fabulous series of photos from Miranda Bennett at ARC of a ferret entering and hopefully being killed by a dog trap. And he's just about in the door, and see you later. Never going back there. I show this for two reasons. One is that either that was too big to get in there, or more likely I'll probably spray on the side there that pricked it. And also, that trail camera on rapid fire, boom, 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 of still images, it may be easier to analyse, but nowhere near as insightful as a 20-second video of that ferret turning up and looking. And you understand so much more about that ferret interaction with that device from a video rather than a trail camera on rapid fire. That series of photos there is nowhere near as useful as that one of that stoat playing around the A24. So I'm a huge fan of trail cameras, but don't waste your time on stills. It's a lot more SD card, a lot more batteries, and a lot more time. But the insights you get from watching video footage of animals engaging with your traps will change how you trap. So this is one of my double sets. All the sprags are folded. Mutton fat rubbed everywhere. This is a double set Victor box, same, sprags are all folded. Mutton fat and peanut butter. You've got a big Norway on this side and a stoat on this side. That weighs 800 grams and costs $30. So if you're doing hard-ass wilderness trapping, it's way easier than carrying an 8 kilo double set .200 box. Keeping it natural, in-season fruits. Oh, I love this picture. I don't know how many of you interrogate or kills on autopsy everything. It's just a biologist in me, I guess. So this was one from last May, back home in Turangi, full of carpentier fruit. Just chocker, possums love pot-of-cut fruit. But interestingly, as much as he likes ice cream, he still knows he's got to eat his greens, so he stopped off at the salad bar on the way home to eat some clover and some ryegrass out of the pasture. Hey, so that just tells you acres about this animal in this environment, what he's doing, when he's doing it, and the fact that once he's been to the ice cream bar, he feels guilty and he has a bit of a salad on the way home. Duck frame was in the duck hunting season. Massive, massive tool for managing predators. The crippling loss of duck shooting from May through June, the animals that cop a stray pellet and die 500 metres or 1,000 metres away in the side of the river or the wetland or the estuary or the pond. Every single cat, every ferret, every stoat's cued into dead ducks. So if you've got an uncle or cousin or brother or sister who hunts ducks and they rest their ducks, chop all their duck frames up, put them in the freezer, and for that 6 or 8 weeks of the year, use duck frames. Eggs. Now is the ideal time to use eggs, but don't use eggs in April. There's no eggs in the landscape. As soon as he turns up and sees an egg, and he's going to go, yeah, bro, this is not right. Hey, right now, there's eggs everywhere. The dirtier and the smellier the eggs, duck eggs, chook eggs, the more poop on them, the better. And I blow my eggs before I put them in, so they're not sitting there whole. The one that's left is a game trail either side on the threshold. It's just a blown egg shell, and it's not plonked vertical on the nails, because eggs don't sit like that in nature. It's horizontal. Spread your nails and put it horizontal, because that's the visual cue that they see in the nest. There's a bit of residual scent from blowing the egg, still on the shell, but all of the omelette is licked up outside the trap, and he just can't wait to get some more. Pre-feeding, lowering the caution, increasing the inquisitive. Rodent kills. You'll see on this one, I've got a little mouse trap screwed in the back end there. What we find with mutton fat on the nail up there, and it's high up on there because as the critter comes through the threshold, he's looking up at the treat, not down at the danger. But the mice will come along and they'll bounce up and down on here and steal the mutton fat. So I put a little bit of peanut butter in there. Note the nail is laid and the egg is horizontal, not vertical. And if I catch a mouse, nothing like fresh rodent to attract a weasel or a stoat into your trap. I actually like having mice running through there, because the more mouse scent that's in there, the more attractive it's going to be to the predator. So kind of developed a predator-free New Zealand calendar around all the stuff to help you think about some of the stuff. It's published online. There's a whole lot of different annual cues on there that you can cue into. There are environmental cues, pest cues, behavioural cues, social cues. They'll help you get your head in the game around this seasonality of nature. Because man, that seasonality of what we do and our connection to phenolite is just so critical. How many of you plant by the moon? How many of you fish by the moon? How many of you plan your raw hunt into Fiordland or the Kaimamas by the moon? Why not? Ask any policewoman or policeman or any A&E doctor or nurse or any aged care worker how difficult managing people in the full moon is. These lunar influences are incredibly powerful, and we're just so disconnected as modern humans living in a Western way. We're so disconnected, we just don't pick up on those cues. But when you... Is that me? It's the moon! We're in the full moon phase now, the perfect tracking phase right now. And it rained.
I've got it here, but it's not.
It's not talking to there.
Now the globe's moving, we've got to get up and dance.
Is it working on you?
Yeah. Oh, but there's the batteries running. Nothing on batteries, but should be finished.
It's just on there, isn't it? Just talk amongst yourselves.
That actually might be an option just to ask Cam a few questions while we're waiting for that, just on what he's talked about so far. Is that okay, Cam?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was talk from Frank about using, stoat bedding in traps, and you used a dead stoat as a lure. Would it be worth, if you trap a stoat, putting it in some straw? I know it's not going to be urine and stuff on it, but you would get the stoat smell. Would it be worth using just that?
Oh, if you catch a fresh stoat or a dead rat, just throw it in the back of the box. 100%.
But if you put it in straw, you could actually...
Yeah, maybe. It's quite a pungent sort of smell. Just to reinforce that a little bit, I project managed the Manga Totally eradication, and in 2005 we had what we thought was a mouse incursion after we thought we got rid of them all. Over 6 hectares of the 65 hectare southern closure, the one that's currently just had a kakapo released in it. 65 hectares. 6 hectares with a tracking tunnel grid on it had mouse prints, and we thought, oh no, we've got a mouse incursion. And we couldn't catch anything, we always felt like we were behind the 8 ball. And I was going to the Cambridge pet shop every Wednesday afternoon and bagging up all the kitty litter out of their mouse cage and taking it out, and I was putting it in all my bait stations and all my trap tunnels, and we caught one male mouse, a very large, fat male mouse, and all that tracking stopped. He was operating over 6 hectares, because living in the waddly jar is only so much fun until you get lonely, eh? He was a giant mouse, weighed over 20 grams, and he was tracking 6 hectares in a Potocup hardwood forest. And he was used to going into tracking tunnels and eating peanut butter. And it was the kitty litter from the mouse cage at Cambridge Pet Shop that encouraged them into one of my traps. So there's a hell of a lot to that. It's the urine, it's the scent, the hormones, the pheromones, really important food cues and social cues. Oh, look at that.
There you go. That was nice.
Was it my fault? Thank you. Hey, so we can learn enormous amounts of how we trap and connecting to whenua from indigenous cultures. And everywhere in New Zealand there are mana whenua who have been on this place for hundreds of years, and they understand the cycles and the rhythms of nature through intuitive observation and connection to place. And it's the one thing that transformed me as a hunter was connecting. This heartfelt connection to place, understanding the rhythms of nature, is what turned me from a biologist into a trapper and a hunter. And I'm happy to say I'm a successful deer hunter. I feed my family on venison. But I'm also a successful trapper because of this connection. Mā tauranga, the historical knowledge based around centuries of being here and observing and knowing. It's just so valuable, and it's why a project like Forest Bridge is so powerful, because of that mana whenua co-governance model, because the people that have been here the longest know the most about it, and it's so often dismissed by Western science. Understanding the maramataka, that I'll talk a little bit about that, but also weather influences. We've just had 3 days of rain, and it's cleared up today. Tonight will be the best night of the month for trapping, because you're in the Tangaroa moon phase. I think we're Tangaroa Amua last night. And this is it here. So the rhythms of nature are the basis of the maramataka, the lunar cycle. The way this is I'm no maramataka expert by any means. There are scholars way who have drilled into this, but this is how I've sort of framed it up in my head. From Matariki through to Matariki, each year we have the breath of nature. And for every breath, there's 12 heartbeats, which is the lunar cycles, the 12 lunar cycles in that breath. And those are the rhythms of nature that Mātauranga and the maramataka and the connection to whenua and resources and survival depended on for Māori. And so every month, about a week after the full moon, is a 5-day period called the Tangaroa moon phase, and it's when Māori went eeling and Māori went fishing and Māori went hunting, because critters still have the high energy of the full moon, but they've chilled off a bit and they're not hoha. This period here, the Tamatea moon phase, the energy's rising and everybody's real angsty and hoha. It's just so true, and I don't know how scientists can measure it, but like I said, you ask policemen and A&E people and aged care workers about it, and they'll tell you the moon has a huge difference about their workloads. Hey, believe it. So putting it all together, manipulating pest behaviour to get the best possible outcomes. This is a classic forest set. It's a double set, DOC 200 box. It's got scuffed on the game trail right out here, scuffed as, so all of that smell of the leaf litter and the empty pods jumping up and down, you can smell, you scuff it straight away, you can smell that earthy forest. I've laid this branch along there to guide animals along the game trail. I've put a big blaze of flower up on there, not because it's going to attract stoats, because it's going to attract possums and rats and mice and hedgehogs, and their scent trails coming to this place night after night are going to attract predators. And then inside is my bait, my big hunk of fresh mutton fat, which will last weeks, even in summer. The ants and the wasps won't eat it. It doesn't go manky, it doesn't go all mouldy and yuck. It just sits there smelling yum, full of energy. Rubbed on the baffles, all over the baffles, a little bit there, all over the doorway. Frank talked about double sets, total 100% on double sets. Double sets catch 6 times more stoats than single sets. And if you were a statistician and you did the analysis, you would say, oh, it should catch twice as many because there's 2 traps instead of 1. But the reason is that once you've got a rat in this end, that becomes so attractive to a stoat coming in the other end. And likewise, once you've got a stoat there, that makes it so attractive to a stoat coming in the other end. The problem is sympathetic firing, where the vibration of the one trap going off sets the other one off. So there's a range of different things you can do. We've stopped nailing our traps down in the box so they jump up when they catch. That one on the top, that's another version where the traps are actually set on the ground and there's a hole cut out of the bottom of the baseboard. So the benefit of that is that the kill plate is below eye level. And there's a whole lot of different ways of doing it. But yeah, it's worth having double sets over single sets, because having another animal in one trap makes it so much more exciting on the other end. And all of these tricks, they work for all the critters, for rats, for stoats, for cats, and for bait stations. That's a chewing trap for cats. It's got a stick element kill trap in the bottom of it. That rat is probably bigger than my boot. It's unreal how big that is. A24s, that was a last year in 2019. That looks impressive, but that isn't a drop in the ocean to what's running around in the forest killing birds. It's not how many tails that are hanging on the fence that's important, it's how many's left doing the damage. And in this case, we've got 8 dead ship-rats at the bottom of this A24, but there's 10,000 ship-rats out in the forest still on last year, killing our money. And all the stuff works for bait stations as well, stuffing the ground, leaving a trail of blaze flour. The cool thing about that is that possums are real visual, and that bright white flower in the landscape, in the moonlight, is really attractive to them. They'll see it from several meters away. They won't smell the flower until they get real close, but the bright white. And it's why it's really important that your bait stations are always nice and bright. If you're using white foolproof stations, don't let them get all mouldy and black and horrible. Once a year, give them a good spray of wet and forget, and brighten them right back up again, because that visual whiteness is really important. That's why the AT220s are all white. It's a visual thing. All of these things are really uber important for our king killers, especially cats and ferrets. And in the central North Island, we're seeing ferrets getting bigger and bigger every year. That male there, he was 2.3 kilos and he's 600 mil long. That's a hell of a big beast. This Jill here, that's a female. She was nearly 2 kilos and she had 5 babies in her. That's a pound of butter. These are beasts. And the value of trail cameras, just seeing who's about or seeing who turns up and cleans up all your A24 rodent killers. For ferrets, blood's really important, so if you're able to kill your possums in your leg hold traps or your cage traps and have them bleed out the nose and ears, that blood's valuable. Spread it all over your trap site, put it in your boxes. That's a new Steghelm 4 double spring kill trap with a hair trigger. Unfortunately, it just failed NAWAC, so he's still got a little bit of work to do to get it over the line, but weighs 1,200 grams, costs $140, and it's a multi-species kill. Ferrets, small cats, stoats, weasels, rats. Awesome little trap. True feral cats though, they are very cunning, as we saw in those videos. This is a Johnny Bissell photo of an injured up cage trap, and this is when we're still experimenting with trail cameras, and again this was a still mode. It was the only photo, it was the only image of that animal. We know we didn't catch it, but we don't know anything else. If we had a 20-second video of him turning up, we may have had a lot more insight into what's going on. Which is why trail cameras are so useful, because it's a long game. This cat that we kept getting on our trail camera finally got him on possum in a Steghelm trap. If you stick at it, you will win. And these things can be incredibly valuable at helping you understand that behaviour. Don't use single shot stills, don't use rapid fire stills. Invest in a big SD card and good batteries and go for 20 or 30-second video mode, and then instead of watching Coronation Street, you can watch really insightful TV. This is a really good example, sorry about the reflection, a really good example of subordinates dominance. This is a cat beasting a ferret off a rabbit bait tied to that carnival log. So there were 3 different cats on this trail camera, and this ferret is a bloody big ferret, but that cat is just beasting that ferret off that rabbit. So this interaction between pests is actually quite useful and interesting as well. This is some new kit from Predator Free Franklin, Andy Saunders and his team, south of Hunua. really cool device. I've got one at home. I'm loving it. It's catching shitloads. You can ninja it right up and make it really natural. It's a multi-species capture. Possums, ferrets, cats, rats, stoats, blackbirds, magpies, hedgehogs. Oh, the list goes on and on. I've got so many on this. It's got a zip auto feeder there which feeds quarter of a mil or third of a mil of egg mayo onto the board every day at 7 o'clock. And it's got a echo node which speaks to your cell phone, so you can get up in the morning and say, I've got 12 of these out on my block and I only have to go and check number 3 and number 7 today because all the rest is still functioning. So it's that smarter, not harder. But these are really, they're an expensive kit, but a valuable contribution. Sometimes though, dogs and firearms are your only choice. The cats just get so cunning, and actually cats treat real easy with a good dog. Put a foxy on them, chase them up a tree, job done. So just to sum it up, every tool can work, every tool can fail. It's understanding the animal at place, which is really the most important thing. It's the core of your success as a ninja predator hunter, not a trap checker. Attention to detail is critical. Don't just look in and go, oh, nothing again, and move on. Spend the time on servicing and make every trap count. Train the piece to do what you want to do. Make your trap shout in the landscape. Don't let it whisper or worse, sit there silently rotting, doing nothing for anyone. Use of my code on it and maramatoka, and it'll transform your results, especially if you combine it with weather influences. Everybody stays home on a cold, wet storm. Everybody comes out when the weather clears. If your baits are freshened up when critters get active, you'll have more success. The reason that when you check your line every third or fourth Wednesday, because that fits your other busy schedule, that the critters you find all rotten is that you caught them in the first 3 or 4 days of when you were there last time, when things were fresh. So if you want to maximise the kill, make sure your servicing and freshening of your sets are at the right weather influence, at the right moon phase. Playing a long game, there's no shortcuts, it's just hard graft, doing it right, and sharing your successes, because that's how we all grow. There's no IP and predator free, we're all in this together, and if we throw our knowledge into the kitty, we'll all grow and we'll all get better, and 2050 may actually come off. By understanding behaviour, you will win the battle, but you've got to be open to that learning. Big thanks to Predator Free New Zealand Trust, UC and her team in Wellington. If she hadn't bailed me up in lockdown, I wouldn't have got on this journey and I wouldn't be here today. So, yeah, thanks for listening, and if you've got any questions, we'll have a talk after Michelle's scattered down.